Hi, my name is Ben, and this is my dog Bob. And to be clear, I'm not giving advice in this video. This is just, I'm just telling the story of what happened to me and my dog. We had sort of a life-changing event recently. As we age, you know, things happen, and Bob is aging, and something happened to Bob recently. So I'm telling the story of what happened to me, and maybe something similar is happening to you. This is not advice, though. I'm not giving advice. I'm not a veterinarian. Bob is a really healthy Chihuahua Shih Tzu mix, long-haired Chihuahua and Shih Tzu. He's about 8 years old. He is intact. He hasn't been fixed. And we walk about 6 miles a day. About 3 months ago, Bob started having real difficulty pooping, and we'll call it BM, bowel movement. So he had real difficulty moving his bowels. He would assume the pooping position, and he would strain and strain and strain, and nothing would come out. And you know, I walk him 2 miles before work. We would stop maybe 10 times during that walk for 2 minutes. I would end up being late for work, and he would end up not pooping. At one point, he didn't have a bowel movement for 3 days, which was really bothersome. So I gave him a sort of a rear end inspection, and he had these sort of pockets. It felt like a gland back here, and there were these pockets that were about the size of a used tea bag. Down behind here, and they were on both sides of his tail, just above his anus. Things started getting really bad with his bowel movements. At one point, he went for 3 days without moving his bowels. I started to notice that when he had a bowel movement, this big piece would come out. When I felt it through the bag, it was really hard, and I was like, "Holy cow!" You know, this is really weird. And that, I mean, he went one time without having a bowel movement for 3 days, and that was pretty scary. And it was clear it was time to go see the vet. We went to the vet, and Bob was diagnosed with a perineal hernia. And we were referred to a surgical place, a surgical vet. And $500 later, we were told that he needed surgery that would cost between $3,200 and $3,800 and had about an 80% success rate. That means it has a 20% failure rate. And they were only talking about fixing one side. They didn't want to fix both sides at the same time. And I could see this turning into a $10,000 bill pretty quickly. And with the potential downsides are, you know, him not waking up from anesthesia and stuff like that. What I found really frustrating about the process of getting Bob diagnosed was that the vets that we saw weren't offering any alternatives to surgery. I was told by the first vet to get Miralax and start giving him some Miralax, but no, there were no suggestions for sort of long-term care or how to live with this problem, and I found that a little disturbing. So I started to do a lot of research online, and I came across a video by Pixie's Plantation. I'll put a link down in the comments to her video. But she was the first person that gave me some hope for Bob's condition and not getting surgery. And she talked about supporting her dog's rear end when the dog went to poop. And this has been life-changing for us. It's basically, I'm making a peace sign, and I'm going to rotate Bob around here so you can see. When he goes into the pooping position, his tail will be up like this, and I will make a peace sign just right here supporting the two sides of his anus. He's got a hernia here and a hernia here. And by putting my fingers there, he can then push and he can have a normal bowel movement. And we have now gone 3 weeks, and he's been having normal bowel movements. Now I can tell you that the hernia on this side is still there. I can, there's a sac that I push in, but the hernia on the other side, it seems to be gone. I'm not entirely sure, but it seems to be gone. And the really interesting thing that's happened is that Bob has learned to wait. Initially, when I started doing this with him, he would growl at me, and he'd get really angry that my hand was back there. Now he seems to wait until my hand is there before he starts pushing to have a bowel movement. So I've changed what I feed Bob. When I prepare his food now, I mix a little bit of his kibble with some olive oil. And then I add about a half a teaspoon of Miralax. And then I add a little bit of pumpkin. And then some moist cat food, just to make it super tasty for him. And he loves this meal. And this keeps his poop just a little bit soft, so he has an easier time having a bowel movement. So he doesn't have diarrhea or anything like that. It's just a little bit softer. So it's been life-changing, and so I wanted to share that with you. Surgery is not the only answer. If something changes with his health with regards to this issue, I will update the comments. But right now, he is back to his normal self.